This is the story of Morgan. His life was good, better than most men could dream. He had wealth, respect, 3 children who adored him, and a wife he loved more than life itself. To his world, Richard Morgan was the definition of success. A man who built his empire from dust and shared it with the woman he believed was his greatest blessing, Clara. But behind the perfect smile and golden home, shadows stirred. And soon, the life he built with love would crumble piece by piece. Every night, after Morgan drifted to sleep, Clara crept downstairs in her silk robe. The glow of her phone screen lit her face as she made another transfer thousands of dollars into an offshore account. "Did you send it?" came Victor's deep voice over the phone. "Yes, my love," she whispered. "Good. My company will launch soon. You'll finally have the life you deserve." Clara smiled faintly. Victor was her first love, the one she never forgot. She'd married Morgan for stability, for comfort, but her heart had never stopped beating for Victor. What Morgan didn't know was that none of the 3 children calling him daddy were his own. They were Victor's. Morgan began to notice inconsistencies, missing funds, unexplained withdrawals, Clara's new habit of locking her phone. When he asked, she brushed it off with a laugh. "Darling, you're overthinking again. Not everything needs an explanation." But numbers didn't lie. And Morgan was a man who made his living reading numbers. One evening, his accountant handed him a file. "Sir, several large transfers have been made to a man named Victor Cole." Morgan froze. The name hit like a punch. Victor, Clara's ex-lover. He said nothing. He smiled as if nothing was wrong. But in his heart, something died that night. He hired a private investigator. Weeks later, a thick brown envelope arrived. Inside were photos, Clara and Victor together, hotel receipts, bank statements, and the final blow, DNA results showing the 3 children shared no genetic link to him. 15 years of marriage, 15 years of lies. But Morgan didn't rage. He waited. Because patience, he believed, is the most elegant form of revenge. Clara's secret lover, Victor, was finally seeing his dreams unfold. With the money she secretly funneled his gaming company, Next Play Studios grew rapidly. Investors lined up. Clara was thrilled her sacrifices were paying off. She pictured herself standing beside him one day, the woman behind the empire. "You'll see, my love," she told Victor. "Once this company launches, I'll tell Richard the truth. Then it'll just be you and me." "Of course, Clara," he said smoothly, but behind that charming voice was deception. Meanwhile, Morgan played the perfect husband, smiling at dinner, attending meetings, pretending everything was fine. But beneath the calm, he was collecting data, tracking emails, and setting the perfect digital trap. The grand launch of Next Play Studios was the event of the year. Cameras flashed. Champagne flowed. Victor took the stage, confident and radiant. Clara sat among the VIPs, proud and trembling with excitement. This was their moment, the public birth of the company she funded and secretly helped build. Victor's speech began. "Tonight marks the start of something great. I want to thank the people who stood by me." Clara waited for her name. "And my fiancé, the love of my life." The spotlight turned not to Clara, but to a younger woman in a shimmering silver gown. The audience cheered. Clara's world tilted. She stood, disbelief written all over her face. "Victor," she screamed, "what are you doing? What about me? The years, the money, everything I gave you." Victor smirked. "Clara, don't be ridiculous. You were a married woman who made poor choices. I used your money, yes, but I owe you nothing." The crowd gasped. Cameras rolled. Phones recorded. Then, Suddenly, the massive LED screen behind him flickered. The company's logo vanished. Static filled the hall. Then came a flood of files. Bank transfers to Victor's account signed by Clara Morgan. Emails proving investor fraud. Audio clips of Victor laughing. That woman so desperate she'd fund anything I say. The audience erupted in chaos. Investors screamed. The young fiancé stormed off in tears. Clara fell to her knees on stage, humiliated, sobbing under the flashing lights. Victor's empire collapsed in minutes, his reputation, his company, his fortune gone. She thought it was poetic justice. That fate had turned on Victor. But the truth was far colder. That night, Clara stumbled home, mascara running, her heels scraping against the marble floor. From the study came a faint light. She peeked in and froze. Morgan's laptop screen displayed the same hacked footage that had ruined Victor. Her eyes widened as she saw folders named Victor_trap, proof_Clara, DNA_results. Her trembling hands opened a document, an email chain between Morgan and someone named the Ghost. Morgan, release the files once she screams. I want her voice to mark the moment it all burns. Clara's heart stopped. Her hand flew to her mouth. Then a deep voice echoed behind her. Now you understand. She turned slowly. Morgan stood in the doorway, calm, cold, eyes burning with quiet fury. You betrayed me, Clara. You stole from me, lied to me. You turned my home into a stage for your deception. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Richard, please, I was lost. I loved him. I didn't mean for this to happen. You didn't mean to. He stepped closer, voice steady. Every transfer, every lie. Every night in his bed you meant all of it. She reached for him, desperate. Please, Richard. I'll fix it. I'll do anything. He looked at her with something worse than hatred, pity. You already did everything, Clara. And I fixed it. Then he walked past her, leaving her standing in the ruins of her own betrayal. News of Victor's downfall spread like wildfire. Within days, his company was exposed for fraud, embezzlement, and theft. He was arrested. Investors sued. Morgan quietly finalized the divorce. He didn't fight for vengeance. He didn't need to. He had already won. The court gave him custody of the 3 children in considering what order to make under Section 69. The court shall regard the best interest of the child as the paramount consideration, and shall not take into consideration the right of the father in priority to the right of the mother or the right of any other person. 2. The court may make such order as it deems proper regarding custody, care, education, and welfare of the child, may place the child under the supervision of a probation officer or other person appointed by the court, or make any other order as it deems fit having regard to the circumstances of the case. Clara lost everything. Her name became a scandal. Friends abandoned her. Her family disowned her. She wandered from shelter to shelter, living on scraps and guilt. Months later, Clara walked into a charity foundation building. A sign read, Morgan Foundation for Women in Crisis. She entered quietly, head bowed, hands trembling. A refined woman sat behind the desk, poised, graceful, warm. Good afternoon, the woman said kindly. How can I help you? Clara fell to her knees, crying. Please, I've lost everything. My husband, my children, my home. I just need a little help. The woman removed her glasses slowly. Clara froze. It was Evelyn Morgan's new wife. Evelyn looked down at her without emotion. You destroyed a man's life, Clara. You burned his trust. And now, you come begging from the house he rebuilt. Clara sobbed. Please, I didn't know. Evelyn's voice was cold, final. I help women who were betrayed, not those who betrayed. She turned away. The guards gently led Clara out. Clara stood outside in the rain, shivering, staring up at the glowing logo above the glass doors. Morgan Foundation Rebuilding Broken Lives. She whispered, "Mine will never be rebuilt," and walked into the night. Richard Morgan often looked out his office window at dusk, the city glowing beneath him. He thought of Clara sometimes not with anger, but quiet closure. Betrayal, he once told his son, doesn't need revenge. It destroys itself. He had everything again: peace, purpose, and truth. And Clara had nothing but the echo of her own choices.